Welcome to a meeting of your Hillsborough County Board of County Commissioners. Representing District 1, Harry Cohen. Representing District 2, Ken Hagan. Representing District 3, Gwen Myers. District 4 is currently vacant. Representing District 5, Donna Cameron Cepeda. Representing District 6, Pat Kemp. Representing District 7, Joshua Wustel. The County Administrator is Bonnie Wise. The County Attorney is Christine Beck. Time is set aside at the beginning of each meeting for citizens to speak on any issue. So we have time for everyone. Speakers are asked to limit their comments to 3 minutes. Today's meeting is brought to you with closed captioning by Hillsborough Television.
Good morning and welcome to the June 20, 2024 regularly scheduled board meeting of the Hillsborough County Board of County Commissioners. Would everyone please rise for the pledge and invocation given by our chaplain, Commissioner Cameron Cepeda.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Heavenly Father, we come before you today with thanksgiving and praise for who you are. And Heavenly Father, we pray right now for the family of Zakira Bell that passed earlier this month. We ask you to take away the pain in their family's heart and give them a peace, the peace of God that passes all understanding, like only you can give. A great peace, we pray for them. And we also pray this morning for protection over all those serving in law enforcement, all our firefighters and first responders. We pray for Hillsborough County Sheriff's Deputy Shane McGough, who was shot and is recovering. We pray for his quick healing, his complete healing, we pray. And we also pray for all of our men and women that are serving in military. We pray for protection over their lives, complete protection. We thank you for that. And we pray and ask you to bless this meeting in your holy name. Amen.
Thank you, Commissioner Cameron Cepeda. Got a message from Commissioner Kemp. She's running a few minutes late, but she'll be here shortly. Now, this morning we have one special proclamation to present, and that'll be by Commissioner Myers.
Good morning, and thank you, Mr. Chair. Will Pastor Alan Harris of Beulah Baptist Institutional Church please come forward and join me at the podium? Good morning. Bless you. It's always a pleasure to see you. And before I read this proclamation, Pastor, I want you to know that what you have done in our community, what you are doing, and what you plan to do, I appreciate all the support. You know, I can remember from a little girl where the late Reverend Leon Lowry always had Beulah Baptist, a church where we can go to in the community for all of our community needs. And you have followed that lead. That just 3 weeks ago, we were at Beulah Baptist, the entire community, having a panel discussion on Brown versus the Board of Education. Standing room only. Why? You continue to open up Beulah Baptist for the community. And we say thank you. Thank you. So I'm going to go right into the reading of the proclamation. It says, whereas Juneteenth represents the first day celebrating freedom in America for African Americans and is the last known celebration for ending of slavery, while also embracing African American history, culture, strength, and achievements. And whereas on June 19, 1865, America with its former slaves celebrated the new birth of freedom, naming it Juneteenth. And whereas for 99 years, African Americans nurtured this freedom while serving America's war and conflict, exemplifying courage, patriotic, and exhibiting patience with grace in the face of Dracon's law and severe inequality. And whereas over the course of time and through many trials, Juneteenth liberation events flourish across the nation, inspiring citizens to honor their freedom through music, storytelling, educational ceremonies, and celebrations. And whereas, known as the grandmother of Juneteenth, Texas native Opal Lee devoted decades of her life to make Juneteenth a federal holiday, and she kept the spirit and the story of Juneteenth alive. And whereas, after many years of struggle and courtesy of Opal Lee's dedication, on June 19, 2021, the 156th anniversary of the first Juneteenth, President Joe Biden signed into law the Juneteenth National Independence Day Act, creating a federal holiday to commemorate Juneteenth. And whereas on July 14, 2021, the Hillsborough County Board of County Commissioners unanimously passed a motion making Juneteenth a county holiday starting in 2022, allowing all county employees to celebrate Juneteenth. And whereas Pastor Allen Harris, lead servant of Beulah Baptist Institutional Church in Tampa, Florida, deserve recognition and praise for their continued commitment, dedication, and efforts that generate cultural awareness of Juneteenth. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the Board of County Commissioners of Hillsborough County, Florida, does hereby declare June 19, 2024, as Juneteenth National Freedom Day in Hillsborough County, and encourages everyone to celebrate Juneteenth and honor the achievements and contributions of African Americans in Hillsborough County, the state of Florida, and the nation, executed this 20th day of June 2024. Congratulations, Pastor Harris. And if you look right at this camera here, we'll step so he knows. I'd like for you to share some comments.
Good morning.
Good morning.
First, I want to thank Commissioner Myers. Thank you for all of your hard work that you do for our community. It's a blessing to know that we have individuals in such places who truly have the mentality that it's all about the people. I also want to just again express my sincere attitude of gratitude for being able to serve as the lead servant at the historic Beulah Baptist Institutional Church. And one of the blessings of serving at such a great church is having such great individuals who serve in various capacities. And we do have some of our members from Beulah this morning. I would ask if they would please stand. Amen. God bless you. And as we had our Juneteenth celebration this past week, Dr. Peggy Harris Singleton was our co-chair for our event. And so I would ask if we could give her a hand on this morning. Again, Commissioner Myers, thank you so much for this. God bless you.
Stay right there. And I truly enjoyed, I left my church and came over to Beulah on Sunday. What a celebration, kicking off Juneteenth. Because that's what it's all about, being able to tell the story of how the slavery was ended in 1865. So thank you so much, Pastor. I'll take a picture with you, and then we invite Beulah, the family, to come on up. We're gonna go right here. Okay, Beulah family. Joe, he might take your picture. I can see the look on your face. You want a picture for your camera. Can you get her? It's in her hand. Oh, come on, Dr. Jewel.
So we can make sure the commissioner gets a package. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner. We love you. Thank you.
Commissioner Kemp?
I just, with regards to Juneteenth, Commissioner Myers, you went so quickly that we didn't, that's okay, that's okay. I just wanted to thank you, Commissioner Myers, for making sure that we have a holiday here and celebrate Juneteenth in Hillsborough County. And so I'm just so I'm proud of our county for taking part in that, and I know that you led the way on that. And also, I just wanted to say, at the African American Cultural Center opening yesterday, or kickoff, that I learned something that I had known before, and I was surprised kind of that I hadn't known it, but I thought it was so significant, and that the Statue of Liberty was first designed to recognize the end of slavery in the United States, and that she was originally designed, and I guess it's still there, with chains on her feet, and there were supposed to be chains on her hands, I think, at some point, but it was modified at some point, and I just thought that that was really interesting history, and I went yesterday and read more about it. But thank you for making sure that we remember this holiday in this time. And I'd lived in Houston for a little while. A long time ago, and that's where the origins of Juneteenth were, and so that was celebrated there, and I'm really glad that many years later we've brought it to the country, but especially to Hillsborough County.
Thank you. I'm thankful to the Board of County Commissioners in 2021 because our county became the first county in the state of Florida to make Juneteenth a holiday. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Commissioner Myers. Bonnie, you want to review the changes to the agenda?
Yes, good morning, Commissioners. We have one item for board consideration pursuant to Rule 13 of Rules of Order. This is by Commissioner Hagan. It's item F2. This is to direct staff to draft for board consideration a resolution electing to not exempt property under Florida statutes, commonly known as the Live Local Act property tax exemption. Staff is to take all appropriate steps to enable the BOCC to take action at the July 17th Commission meeting. We have one off the agenda item that we just heard, which was a proclamation presented by Commissioner Gwen Myers on behalf of the Board of County Commissioners declaring June 19th, 2024 as Juneteenth National Freedom Day in Hillsborough County. We have two items that have been deferred. The first one is item A2. This has been deferred to July 17th, which is to approve 4 fiscal year 24-25 State General Revenue Program service contracts with Senior Connection Center, Inc., under which home and community-based senior services are provided. The second one is item B1, also deferred to July 17th, is to receive and take action by adoption of a resolution in the form presented under directive of the School Board of Hillsborough County regarding calling an election on November 5th, 2024 for a referendum of the school board for the school board to levy additional ad valorem taxes for operating expenses in accordance with and as mandated by state law. We have several items for time certain. The first one is at 9:30, item F1 by Commissioner Hagan, which is a selection of a vice chair. Item D1 at 10 a.m. is to hold a public hearing to receive public comment on the adjustment of rates for potable water and wastewater services in the former Windemere franchise service area, and to adopt a resolution establishing the fees and charges for the potable water and wastewater services in the same area. Item E1 at 10:15 is to receive a special appearance by Rob Higgins, Executive Director of the Tampa Bay Sports Commission, to present their semi-annual activity report for 2024. Item E2 at 10:30 is to receive a special appearance by Santiago Corrada, President and CEO of Visit Tampa Bay, to present their semi-annual activity report. And 11:45 is a recess for lunch. Those are the changes to the agenda.
Can we have a motion to approve the
Move for
changes?
approval.
Second. Motion, Commissioner Myers, second, Commissioner Kemp. Approve the changes to the agenda. Please record your vote.
Motion carried 6-0.
Now we're going to the public comment portion of the agenda, and the board welcomes comments from the citizens about any issue or concern, or your opinions are valued in terms of providing valuable input to the board members. At the same time, it is requested when you speak to the board that your comments are not directed personally at board members or staff, but rather the issues. We've set aside 45 minutes for a public comment this morning. The chair will call on speakers by name in the order in which your requests to speak have been received. When addressing the board, please state your name, speak clearly into the microphone, and each person will be given up to 3 minutes. First 3 speakers this morning are William Henry, followed by a Robert Kruger, and a Miles Fisher. Is Mr. Henry present? Please come forward. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. So we had a presentation, but we were informed that we couldn't show it because we didn't get it on a Monday, so I apologize for that. The 4 speakers that you've listed and have signed up for 3 minutes have ceded their time to me, but I'm actually going to call all of them up because it all deals with the same subject, which is, I think it's B4 on your agenda, Commissioners and Mr. Chairman. Good morning, too. My name is William Henry, 600 South Magnolia Avenue, Tampa, Florida. I'm here to talk about the MOSI RFP that was issued by the county some months ago, and we were one of the respondents. It got down to 2 finalists, and the selection committee has made their recommendation. I'd just like to say the following, that our concentration on this was to respond to county policy. Pardon me?
Please continue. Communication could silence the online chatter. Please continue.
Oh, should I stop?
No, go.
Okay. So yes, it's agenda B4 on your agenda. I don't know what time that's coming up today, but getting back to it, we responded to the proposal because my focus and the team we've put together, their focus is economic development. And I don't have to remind you, Commissioners, that the median family income in Hillsborough County is not what we all want it to be. It's in the 50,000 range, I suspect. Might change in certain areas. But the focus of the RFP was to, I thought, the policy was to create high-paying jobs. So the team we put together was completely focused on economic development and a high multiplier. So in other words, to get that $50,000 median family income up to a level that's more in the lane of 6 figures. And that would have a multiplier effect on all the other businesses along the innovation corridor, which I think you all know is essentially Fowler Avenue, running east to west from 275 to 75. So the goal was to figure out a team that could put together a proposal that would create a manufacturing bioscience cluster, a high-tech cluster on the MOSI site, and not view it as an amenity, and not just create more retail jobs and residential rental that would, and I'm going to use the word poach, other jobs potential and other development potential along the innovation corridor. So that was our focus, and that's what we think we accomplished. So we put together a team that was both national and local.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Right. So they've ceded their time to me. Do you want to?
Well, sir, we don't, as a policy, don't do that, but each person can more than welcome to have 3 minutes each.
Okay, well, then they can get up, and if they could see their...
We got Robert Kruger, and then Miles Fisher, and then a Connor Coughlin, I believe.
Yeah. Thank you. My name is Bob Krieger. I'm the managing principal for Brennan Investment Group. We're the second largest private owner of industrial property in the United States. We have 17 offices, we got 56 million square feet and $6.5 billion in assets. So I'm here, as Bill talked about, trying to create jobs, and part of the thing with MOSI, what we was proposing was do something similar to what you see on the screen. It was the Elk Grove Technology Center, something we did in Elk Grove, Illinois. And we think that this would be a great addition to the city of Tampa, Hillsborough County, relative to a project. The project's going to serve as a perfect feeder system to the University of South Florida. It will attract both domestic, international companies looking to establish new headquarters in an urban infill environment and a campus feel similar to that near the university. It's an ideal situation for companies looking to attract interns and future employees for the jobs. And that's what we're talking. It's all about jobs, guys. And this is something relative to this technology center, which you can do. The site offers a rare opportunity like no other that we've had in the Tampa Bay area relative to providing this type of technology center to attract these type of industries. The amenities for this type of center would include basically an area that provide people can live and work, play environment for the employees with lighted pathways, driveways that utilize the potential resources of the natural resources that site already has in place. So basically what we're trying to do is this technology center, we've done these things out in the United States. It's a big job creator. When we did Elk Grove Technology, we've got people from all over the world that came to Elk Grove Technology, people like Microsoft, people that are medical technologies, people that magnetic tech. It was a great thing. It was a huge success. As fast as we built it, they would come. And the way these technology centers work, they're really high-tech, beautiful buildings, unlike what you would have for typical industrial buildings. You bring the first one in, and all the rest of the people follow, and that's what happened with Elk Grove. It's been a huge success for the company. It was a huge success for the city of Elk Grove, and we'd like to do the same thing which is an ideal site on this MOSI property relative to being in proximity to university, the workforce, and creating jobs for Hillsborough County, and that's what it's all about. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Miles Fisher. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. My name is Miles Fisher, and I work under Bill Henry as a part of our GA for the MOSI team for the RFP 2024, and thank you guys so much for taking the time to listen today. And I just stepped up here today to urge you guys to take a look at our presentation and what we've done in terms of our site plan and our site considerations, because not only is this an ideal site, and there not being very many qualified sites along the innovation corridor for a research and development park, but we are bringing in outside offshore companies. And our site plan, all of our intentions are to create high-paying jobs and to give opportunities to small and minority-owned businesses, along with creating those high-paying jobs for a walkable community along the innovation corridor. Now, our plan is in the preliminary stages. We're not saying that we have the solution here, but the goal was to show you that we have considered everything that comes into play on the site, along with surrounding neighborhoods and businesses, protected vegetation and animals, along with swampy and low-lying areas that to many would be considered a hindrance, but we have seen that they could be used as a strength. So I would urge you to look at what we've created. We have used the west part of the site to create a research and development community, and then the east part of the site we used to create a mixed-use development that would play perfectly with USF, play perfectly with the stadium, and would really be great for the community. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fisher. We got Connor Coughlin, followed by a Josie Fickey and a Julie McGill. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. So beforehand, I'm going to read a quote into the record from the Director of Economic Development. But beforehand, I just want to emphasize that we are planning to carve out from this site an area for research and development. So this is a statement from Jaska Petrovic, the Director of Economic Development, regarding our project as well as the opposing proposal from Alliant. The biggest issue I had with Alliant was their proposal being residential, which was not the drive of this RFP. They were also pretty focused on being an amenity for USF, which I also don't see as a driving force of this RFP. I think it's a positive externality to benefit USF, but I was looking at it from more an economic development perspective, and I didn't see a whole lot about how to value jobs. There's a lot of detail and residential discussion. So from that perspective, I like that the RGA proposal had an economic development bioscience focus, which is something that I see as a drive of this RFP. I like that they switched their proposal to be more workforce focused, more focused on jobs. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate the comments. Josie Fickey, followed by Julie McGill, and then David Coleman. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Josie Fickey, and I would like to take a moment to thank Ms. Donna Cepeda for always having focus and eye contact with us as we speak before this board and paying attention to us speakers. And why I'm here today is I'm actually addressing agenda item A40. That is for the Sheriff's Association and Sheriff's Department to spend a little over $500,000 on lawnmowers. The reason this bothers me is because if I may use the overhead projector to show you something. This is a police report that was done by an Officer Griffin that has since been removed from the unit. I was attacked on October 13th at Brandon Mall by a gang out of Tampa. 5 women attacked me brutally, put me in the hospital for 8 hours. I would like to show you some of the damage that cost me $8,000 in hospital bills and 8 hours in the ER. I want you to know that these women were not arrested. Our prosecutor, Susan Lopez, refuses to prosecute these women. There is videotape. Is there a reason that's not being shown?
It was shown.
Can we show it?
Guess we're not showing it. Please continue.
You're not showing it? Okay, well, since nobody wants to see the damage, I'll hold it up. 8 hours I was in the hospital from a gang beating at Brandon Town Center. Your sheriff refused to prosecute. Your district attorney refused to prosecute. So before we spend $500,000 on lawnmowers, why don't we hire more sheriffs to protect citizens so this happens less often in Brandon? Because they failed to act on a gang before, another gang was attacking children at a skating rink in Brandon less than 6 months after this took place, less than a half a mile from where this took place. So before you approve $500,000 for lawnmowers, I suggest you look into what the sheriff office is doing. Your crime rate's down because they're not arresting people. They're not reporting crime. And I'm not the only one in this room that has been a victim. There are other citizens in this county that have been victims of gang violence in this county that Chronister and Lopez are not prosecuting. I thank you all for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Fickey. Julie McGill, followed by David Coleman, and then a Deborah Holliday. Good morning.
Good morning. I also am speaking on agenda item number 40. I'm just wanting to know why the Sheriff's Association is co-oping with 3 other departments to purchase these lawnmowers, and they're purchasing from a company in Alabama, so we're not even purchasing from a Florida company. It seems very odd to me. It's kind of like there's too many chiefs with all their hands on $500,000. And what Ms. Fickey brought up is a good cause for why are we spending this much money on lawnmowers. I've also noticed way too many of your purchase agenda items are exempt from disadvantaged women and small business. We can do better than that. We need to start looking for other alternatives here. We need to do better. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. McGill. David Coleman, followed by a Deborah Holliday and a Renee Madison that are both virtual. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, David Coleman. Hotel vouchers, while they last, are child abuse. Hope tents and Ybor are not the answer to adult homelessness. Jail Young is not the best for our elders. Our future land use concerns have shown that Hillsborough ranks housing and transportation #1. The TIP came to the TPO. The BOCC members pushed back on transportation except for road widening. The BOCC members are out of touch. Hillsborough fought hard against widening 275 north to Bears and won years ago. You open that door back up. Road narrowing and lower limits is what's being demanded on the West Sly and Wastewater's proposal. Why? Because of death and trauma center visits. We experienced urban sprawl in the core and have learned the hard way, yet all you want to do is do more of the same to unincorporated Hillsborough, except when it might affect votes from people in, say, Odessa. The first Thursday night Planning Commission meeting on sewers and public water in North Hillsborough was filled with objection. On June 6th, nothing. So you all get to pick and choose who must comply with the service line expansion in an election year. I think I see what you did there. Why do you need to have the Planning Commission remove all language pertaining to economically disadvantaged elders? Are we next on your hit list? When will you ever understand you are here to speak for the people, not shut the people down? Remember that in a Dover town hall, citizens' right to free speech at a county town hall was taken away. People were removed by police after being told to line up for Q&A. At a UA CDC town hall, people from an alliance against rate hikes for clean energy were called food and beverage and told to go to the PSC. We were told we could afford our electric if we got less manicures. At a town hall in Wesley Chapel meeting, according to the press, it was opened with the statement, "I will not be answering any questions on energy policy." Shutting down residents and even denying from them their First Amendment rights will get you in court, and consequences fall on your own marble fiber and the county's pocketbook. The PSC came to town and had a big turnout. I would think you at least noticed that. So we need housing, transportation, funding for schools, rapid housing like Houston is doing, cops that don't gas and beat students, a board that stands up for what's right, a board that listens to the tip and votes for real transportation on the TPO. I still can't find the $180 million for affordable housing in the 6 pages of last year's budget as you begin planning next year's. Please be transparent. Please give us information. More than 600 pages for a $9 billion budget, and work out the Planning Commission on public notifications.
Thank you, sir. Deborah Holliday and Renee Madison, both virtual. Is Ms. Holliday on the line?
Yes. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Hello?
Yes, please proceed.
Okay. Thank you for taking time to listen to what I have to say about 2 important text amendments. CPA 2315 and 2406. In 2010, the county approved the building of an energy plant on 3,000 acres in Dover that used to be an L-phosphate mining chemical dumping ground called the EIP. Owners told the county they could bring 5,000 jobs to the area. The county did some specific restrictions about what could be built based on the history of this land. Over time, though, the owners have requested less and less restrictions on what they could build. Rules stated energy plant first, commercial industrial after. Remember, the county approved rezoning based upon the promise to build an energy plant, and now they don't want to have to do that. But a promise is a promise. Within 2 weeks of this amendment being presented, a new text amendment was requested to build 1,900 homes on the south side of this property. In 2010, the county, trying to protect residents, said no residential buildings. But now the owners are saying they could help to satisfy a housing quota that the county needs, and that we should not worry about contamination on this property, because that was only in the northern part of the 3,000 acres. Existing residents have told many stories about the dumping of chemicals back there. They talk about the crust on the earth and how if you break that crust, you will then see sludge underneath it. This is not just on the northern part of the parcel toward the Superfund site, which owners want you to believe. It is also south of the railroad tracks off South Dover Road and in other areas next to homes on Durant and Dover Road. If there's nothing to worry about, why did owners state they would not be disclosing the history of the land to potential home buyers? Water contamination is also a big concern for both local wells and the Florida aquifer that the county gets its water from when the buildings start stirring up the ground. Besides contamination concerns, residents don't want the berms surrounding this property to be brought down. They have surrounded this property for over 50 years. These berms have become part of our area's rural view and our residents' backyards. Besides this, they provide protection from high hurricane winds and from flooding. Behind the berms are thousands of acres of wetland and a vibrant wildlife habitat. Deer, gopher, tortoises, sandhill cranes, to name a few, are residents of the acres of the EIP. Traffic congestion is also a concern as this land is surrounded on 3 sides by 2 already very congested 2-lane roads. Owners' representatives are also now saying it is likely they will open up 2 dead-end country 1-lane roads in our rural area to run the new residents through. They will change our way of life. We will lose over 60 trees due to widening on my road alone. Our road has horse and cow farms and is a protective environment for wildlife coming from the 3,000 acres adjacent to it. Each year on my street, a family of sandhill cranes walks down the dead-end road, protected by the surrounding chaotic traffic on neighboring through roads. Please listen to the residents of Hillsborough. You will be putting the lives of residents and wildlife in jeopardy if you approve these amendments. You have thousands of acres you could revamp in other urban areas of the city. I urge you to just say no to these 2 amendments. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Holliday. Is Renee Madison on the line?
Yes.
Good morning.
My name is Renee Madison, and thank you, commissioners, for giving me the opportunity to share my voice and concerns surrounding the EIP and the proposed text amendment changes regarding CPA 2315 and CPA 2406 sites. This is where I'm speaking to what the previous resident was speaking about. The federal EPA has identified a 9-acre Superfund site on this property. The new emerging contaminant, 1,4-dioxane, has been identified at several locations outside of the identified 9-acre Superfund site. It includes 325 acres it has spread to. This sophisticated carcinogenic is highly dispersive and heavier than water, therefore it will seep into groundwater. At this time, the EPA tests show it is 2 orders of magnitude higher than the Florida DEP drinking water standard allows. Therefore, it is beyond what is considered safe for human health. In layperson's terms, the data reported shows the contamination is now in the lower aquifer, a potential drinking water source. At this time, it is necessary to expand the scope of testing to determine the full vertical and lateral extent of the 1,4-dioxane plume and its relationship to the proposed residential site and future build-out. Again, 1,4-dioxane's ability to dramatically infiltrate and disperse vertically and laterally, the ground must be defined before any build-out is approved, mitigating any human health issues. It's irresponsible to move forward with a change to text amendment CPA 2315 and CPA 2406 when the build-out could impact the movement of the newly identified 1,4-dioxane. The build-out could additionally affect the flow of groundwater without a clear understanding of the extent of the 1,4-dioxane plume. The data gap at this time is too large to have a comprehensive picture that ensures human health concerns are mitigated responsibly. The risks of moving forward with the current data gaps are daunting and too large to ignore. Further testing outside of the initial area of concern ensures that pernicious emerging contaminant 1,4-dioxane is not allowed to rapidly spread and potentially migrate downward into the primary drinking water source, the Floridan aquifer, which serves as drinking water for 10 million people. I leave you with these last thoughts. Our community expert, who has 35 years of experience in environmental toxic waste mediation, has reviewed all of the current data, and the gaps are too large to proceed with the Sydney Mine EIP land development until the data gaps have been addressed. Again, I ask that text amendment CPA 2315, CPA 2406 be removed from consideration for change.
Thank you, Ms. Madison.
The human health risk.
All right, the last 3 speakers are Denise Herndon in person, followed by a Penny Martin and a Brady Harris, both virtual. Ms. Herndon. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm Denise Herndon, and I'm here to complain about the Sheriff's Department continuing to bring or have behavior health officers come to my house. The first time was in '21. The last time was this past June 10th, because I canceled an appointment with a detective. I have a recording here of when I had canceled it. For some reason, as you see my call, it says call forwarded. I don't know why. This is the detective. It's having trouble hanging up, and I don't know what it's doing right now, but it's stuck on my call forward. Anyway, I called and canceled this appointment that I made with this detective on the 28th of May because the only thing he could say he could change was information on me as a respiratory therapist for Respitec. I don't know if Respitec still has a Hillsborough County DME. They are ripping you off. I know it was a 5-year contract. Gary and Zulowitz owes me over $16,000 being his respiratory therapist from 2015. He called and had me trespassed off the property. On this date, this is the sheriff's office. If you look at the bottom, it's not doing it now, but when I call the sheriff's department, it says call forwarded also. This ring that I have on my finger, this was in my safety deposit box. And someone had taken my safety deposit box along with like a bag that I have right now when code enforcement was taking care of me, because Shirlene Hammond called code enforcement on me when the sheriff's department facilitated me getting Baker acted on September 1st, 21. I was at Brandon Hospital for a little over 24 hours because they had to test me for COVID, and there's like an inch of medical records that are falsified. When I worked at Brandon Hospital, the same thing happened as a respiratory therapist. Things were being falsified. Sheriff Chronister is overstepping his boundaries of power. I've had 6 or 7 behavior health officers out my house. I don't want them on my property again, Sheriff Chronister.
Thank you, Ms. Herndon. Penny Martin, virtual. Is Penny on the phone?
Good morning, County Commissioners, and thank you for allowing me to join in. I appreciate all that you do for our county and understand the importance of your role in matters that directly impact our community. I am here today to speak because I'm trying to also help our residential area. I play an active role in the community, and I work to keep abreast of changes and new developments and ask questions when things don't add up. That's why I'm here today. I'm asking for your support to say no to the proposed text amendment changes for 2315 and 2406 related to the energy industrial park and the request for a 30% retail and commercial buildings on the Turkey Creek Preserve side. Applicant for the EIP property is proposed to build a neighborhood of 1,900 homes. My name is Penny Martin, and I live right next to the old Sydney Dover phosphate sludge mine. If you've never visited the town of Durant, I welcome you to drive out here. Our family has lived in Durant for over 70 years. The property under review for these text amendments is in our backyard. This is farmland. This is country land. This is a rural area. It's a small one-road country town that has been majorly overdeveloped lately, and I'm here to ask for your support. We cannot handle any more further development in this area. I'd like to share some of my concerns related to the changes for the property out back. This is not merely just a change of wording in a comp plan, but a drastic change that it could impact many of us within our area, our county, and our state. A few of the concerns I have are related to the Superfund toxic site that is on the national priority list for toxic sites of America. putting people on that, top of that to live there is unthinkable, not safe, and should not be supported. In addition to the catastrophic destruction to the ecosystem, the loss of the peace and the quiet, the country living, the farmland, the massive traffic being added to our area is unthinkable. Currently, I have 4 cars that pass by my house on my dead-end road here on Martin Road. This is one of the roads they plan to use to let the cars in and out of this neighborhood. The engineer told me approximately 10,000 cars would be driving past my home every day. That doesn't count the lawn service, the pool people, the Amazon driver, and so forth. It also impacts the wildlife, but primarily the major concerns are related to health due to the soil contamination. Renee and some of my other residents have spoke to some of the data related to that, so I'm going to keep this short and simple. In addition, the land is landlocked. There's no access to this property. They would have to come through the backyards and the woods of many of our homes. The health of the future families of a former phosphate sludge mine Superfund site with a railroad tracks running right through the middle of it does not sound like something that is marketable or that families would want to live there. I am the voice for those people.
Thank you, Ms.
I
Martin.
am asking for your support to deny
Thank you,
these
ma'am.
requests.
Last speaker is Brady Harris, virtual.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm here to speak on CPA 2315 and 2406, better known as the EIP. I've lived adjacent to the EIP my entire life and have seen every inch of the property when I was growing up, and my mother used to ride horses all the way to Brandon along with friends and family. I've seen nearly every kind of wildlife that you can imagine out there, from gopher turtles to deers to wild hogs and some sort of cat, wild cats with cubs. In 2010, this piece of property was designated a one-of-a-kind EIP, the main purpose being energy production first, and that's how it should stay. The main focus, there are rumors that there is talks already with Amazon to build a distribution center if the 30% industrial commercial is allowed. Have y'all even heard of this? This would be a tremendous impact on our small country area. Think of the impact all the trucks would have on this area that is mostly all 2-lane roads. It would be a total nightmare and full of congestion. The infrastructure is nowhere near ready for the impact like that. I hear all the time that we need renewable energy, and that's what it should stay. It should stay renewable first, not at 30%. Sounds like a no-brainer to me. This is why I would ask you to oppose 2315 and ask you to vote no and keep it energy first. And now to address CP 2406, the 19-plus homes is virtually with no accessible or infrastructure. When I heard this, I thought it was a joke, but it wasn't. Have any of you commissioners ever driven out here anywhere near Dover Road, Durant Road, Turkey Creek Road, Pearson Road, or the adjoining roads? They're all 2-lane roads. If you haven't, I would invite you to come out here and see where we could go to the store and back in 30 minutes. Now it takes 30 minutes or longer to get to the store each way. There used to be full of cow pastures and orange groves and simple country folks used to live. Now it's beginning to be something that I don't recognize in its very sky. The houses that will be built on the unstable ground is a main concern. The reason I'm sure that each of you are aware that TECO did not build their solar
Thank you, Mr.
field
Harris.
out there
Appreciate your comments, sir.
on the property.
That
It's not,
closes the public comment portion of the agenda. Can we have a motion to approve the consent? Second. Motion, Commissioner Wostels. Second, Commissioner Cohen. Please record your vote on the consent agenda.
Motion carried 6-0.
Bonnie, first item.
Thank you. The first item is item F1. Commissioner Hagan, your item regarding the selection of a vice chair.
All right, thank you. Board members, with Commissioner Owen's resignation, we do not have a vice chair. While I think rumors are that Governor Sanders' appointment is likely imminent, there is no timetable, so I see no reason why we should not move forward filling this position. Commissioner Myers was the board's previous vice chair. She did a great job, so I'm going to pass the gavel to the chaplain, Commissioner Cameron Cepeda, and make the motion for Commissioner Myers to be the vice chair.
Thank you, and before we do that, Commissioner Cohen, I see you in the queue. Oh, you're seconding. Okay, second. Okay, you have a second.
All right, I wasn't sure.
Second, okay. Everyone, if you could please make a vote, take your vote.
Motion carried 5-1. Commissioner Wostel voted no.
Okay, thank you. And Commissioner Myers, I think if you don't mind staying in your seat, it would take a few minutes to change everything, and if we can just keep moving. If you're okay with that?
Yes.
Okay.
Just want to thank you, Mr. Chair.
Oh.
Thank you, and thank you, board members, for selecting me to be the vice chair. Thank you so much.
Okay, Bonnie, next item.
Thank you. We have a few minutes before our public hearing, so we can move to item B2. This is to approve a cybersecurity project to be funded with the American Rescue Plan dollars to enhance the security of the county's information systems. Kevin Brickey with Management and Budget is here to present this item.
Good morning, Kevin.
Good morning, Commissioners. Kevin Brickey, Management and Budget. Item B2 does ask you to approve a cybersecurity project to be funded with American Rescue Plan dollars. And this project would enhance the county's security of its information systems and enhance compliance with state statutes directing local governments to do so. And to approve a related budget amendment that would fund this project at $1.44 million. These dollars would be realigned from other board-approved projects. These are funds that are available to be realigned. One is from a project that is completed, the fire rescue station alerting system, and the other one is from a project that was to be for a robotics, agricultural robotics project. That project is not going to move forward, and it's available to do that. Cybersecurity was included as an approved use of American Rescue Plan dollars in the board's ARP investment plan adopted in September of 2021.
All right, thank you. No questions or comments? Can I have a motion?
Nope. Second.
Motion, Commissioner Kemp, second Commissioner Myers. If no comments, please record your vote on B2.
Motion carried 6-0.
Next item.
Thank you. The next item is item B3. Kevin will present this item as well.
Thank you, Ms. Wise. Item B3 is also a American Rescue Plan item. This asks for approval of a budget amendment to realign about $8.34 million of American Rescue Plan funds among already board-approved ARP uses. This is realigning $8.34 million of the county's total ARP award of $285.9 million. The $8.3 million is available from other ARP projects that have been completed, canceled, or now have more narrow scopes. The funds will be realigned to stormwater improvement programs in Progress Village, about $7.1 million, the county step-down facility, about $500,000, and the sidewalk improvements, a little bit over $700,000. Thank you.
Move approval.
Okay, we got a motion to approve. Commissioner Kemp, second Commissioner Cohen. No comments. Please record your vote. B3.
Motion carried 6-0.
All right, thanks, Kevin. Bonnie.
Thank you. The next item is item B4. This is to select and authorize negotiations with the best qualified and high-risk rank firm for the redevelopment of the site surrounding the Museum of Science and Industry, MOSI. And we have a team who's going to present this item, including Scott Stromer, John Moeller, and Greg Horwedel.
All right, but before staff makes their comments, I just want to make a couple of remarks. Board members, you recall last year, I brought this to the board and expressed my interest in moving forward with redeveloping the MOSI site. I've long felt that this 74-acre site is the county's most underutilized asset. With the size and location of this property, the opportunities are limitless to capitalize on the synergy and the proximity of USF, everything they've got going on there, as well as the other economic drivers in the innovation district. And we can really transform this site into an innovative mixed-use urban development. This is going to be a lengthy, detailed process. If you recall, we first asked staff to bring back the timeline and process and recommended uses or categories. Then in November, we approved the RFP, and then that brings us to today, where staff has made their recommendations. Our development partner is asking for approval to begin negotiations. So with that, I'll have Scott and staff introduce the item, then I want to make a couple of remarks when they're finished. So, good morning.
Good morning. Scott Stromer, Procurement Services. Item B4 is asking the board to select and authorize negotiations for an interim development agreement with the best qualified and highest ranked firm, Alliant Partners Development LLC, for the redevelopment of the MOSI site. No protests were filed in this case. 2 firms responded in total. In the event an interim agreement can't be reached with Alliant, negotiations will be terminated, and the board's authorization to negotiate with the next highest ranked firm, which is RGA Design LLC, would likely be requested. The proposal submitted by RGA has not been rejected. It's just found by the committee to be the second highest rank, so it's still in play. In this case, the recommended firm Alliant requested and received the 5 bonus points for committing to subcontract a minimum of 10% of its ultimate fees to disadvantaged businesses. Procurement Services does recommend approval, beginning discussions with Alliant. With that, John Mueller is here to go into some of the finer details on some of the proposals and answer any questions.
Thank you.
Please. Good morning, Board. John Mueller, Director of Facilities Management and Real Estate Services. I was designated as the chair for the evaluation committee. We had 6 members representing economic development, development services, public works, capital programs, and the planning commission. And we're going to put up just a few slides. I'll be brief, Chair, I promise. Which one are you going for next one?
Please click on this.
Yep.
There you go.
Thank you. Okay, so I think we're all familiar with the MOSI site. This is straight from Alliant Partners' proposal. It's in your background. I excerpted a few of the slides for you, but an aerial view of the site as it exists today. This is Alliant's conceptual plan. I want to note something. It's not final. We're going to negotiate, so when you see some items that are called out, we're not accepting this plan exactly as is. But I would note that the committee found they had a good sense of placemaking, and there were many uses or visions or objectives for this RFP. Yes, jobs were one of them. Yes, there are medical jobs and offices called on this proposal, but there were other requirements as well, links to transportation, walkable. We can go through all those, but you saw those in there. We felt that this proposer, who was a master developer with good references, was the more qualified of the 2. So just note that. Just another 3D view of it. This will not be it. This is just a block view, but just gives you a little bit of an idea of a good starting point and a basis for it. That's it. And can you take that on? Okay, thank you. And then lastly, before I turn it over to Greg, I just want to say that as we go forward in the negotiations with them, as I mentioned, it's a good starting point. We need to do a little more due diligence in the agreements, but that's what the process was for, to negotiate an interim agreement. So we're selecting a partner to negotiate with. We will go, as we mentioned at the last board meeting, we're going to take a harder look at the adaptive reuse of the west building. That's a big county asset that is there, and both proposers, we felt, needed work on that, but we will be emphasizing that going forward. And I think it's very timely, because you can see that there's development that's going on. USF announced the claw. You have hotels that are going in there now. We are going to be looking for things that differentiate ourselves a little bit and give us an economic advantage. We understood the objectives of the board, and we would appreciate your support on this recommendation. Mr. Horwedel.
Thank you, John and Scott. Greg Horwedel, Deputy County Administrator, for the record. Thank you. As John indicated, and I believe Scott also indicated, this is really the next step in developing this site. We don't want to overemphasize what has been presented by either proposer. We do want to recognize that this is a fluid process. We know that there are things that the board has in mind, creating ad valorem growth so that we can benefit the county. Right now, it is not an ad valorem generating property. So we do want to focus on that. We also, if you recall, a couple of board meetings ago had indicated that there are other opportunities, perhaps, for anchoring the entertainment district, possibly by looking at an indoor sports facility that would help generate interest in this site and would help create the need and demand for hotel space, which frankly not only generates ad valorem value, but also tourist development tax dollars. So we have this step that we need to take. We know that this is a critical development area for the county, and I know that we're going to have very detailed conversations with the developers. We will also have detailed conversations with you all individually throughout the process to keep you apprised of what is happening and make sure that it's consistent with what we believe to be the board's overall vision for this particular property. With that, the team is happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I've got a couple comments and a couple questions, then we'll open it up. But first of all, thank you for the presentation. I mean, I think it's clear that we have a rare opportunity to really create something special here. Development of this magnitude requires significant due diligence, not only in choosing the proper master developer, but also ultimately approving the development agreement. And so I want to thank staff who's already put in a ton of work just to get us up to where we are right now. I know in the backup it highlights there's a two-phase approach. I'm not going to go through the different, all the different steps and what's included in each one, but just a couple of comments and questions. I mean, I like the fact that, MOSI obviously going to remain there, and we've made that decision. I like how the RFP identifies the county's vision of establishing mixed uses that create a live, work, and play environment while leveraging the innovation district's economic drivers to create really an economic hub. Regarding the entertainment options, I know MOSI will obviously going to remain. Included in the RFP was a film studio, black box theater. Now, I don't think that was specifically shown on their diagram, but as you said, and I had my notes here, Greg, this is very fluid, correct? You also touched on briefly the indoor athletic complex that we had a discussion, board members who recall, during our last board meeting. And I know that wasn't specifically identified in the RFP. I always felt it was an ideal location, and we talked about that forever. In fact, you're going to, I think here in our 10:15 time certain, or is it 10:30 with Santiago, how they identify an indoor complex as one of specific recommendations to drive tourism. Now, their study did not identify any particular site, but this was one of the locations from our study that was identified. And I think if this ever has a chance to materialize, we're going to have to come up with a creative public-private partnership, I think similar to what we did in New Tampa with the Performing Arts Center, where the developer contributed cash and significant infrastructure improvements to really drive down the cost. So I guess the question, long-winded question, will that be one of the issues that we're going to discuss with the developer to see, number one, if it's possible, and then number two, if it makes financial sense?
The short answer is yes. There are a number of possibilities with this site, but as we discussed with you a couple of meetings ago, we felt that the MOSI site had some potential for an indoor facility. Clearly, there needs to be a conversation with the development team to see how that would work. Staff's goal, I can assure you, is to minimize our contribution financially and to generate as much tax revenue as possible from the development that does occur on this site. So we will have conversations. I would also point out that same thing that we pointed out a couple of meetings ago. There are a couple of other options that we're also exploring concurrently that may come back to you. You all charged us to come back with a more formal recommendation on the costs associated with both facilities, so that'll also be in the works as well. But I do want to assure you that this site does have potential for that conversation to occur.
Okay. And I also like the fact that you mentioned that, USF's got some exciting things going on, not only with their stadium, but with their future development of the golf course. And I like the fact that you said we're looking to, differentiate ourselves from what they're doing there, or not to, compete with them. So that certainly makes sense. I do have a question about, we heard from several speakers during public comment that were part of the bid that was not recommended, and I wrote down some of their notes as far as their proposal they felt was economic driver, high multiplier, bioscience cluster, one of the second largest development groups. That that the proposal you guys are recommending is not jobs focused. And I also understand from staff that they did not oppose or protest the bid. And so I guess the question is, did you hear anything this morning that would cause you to reassess the recommendation that's in front of us?
Commissioner, thank you, John Muller. Nothing that would cause us to reconsider our decision. Those comments were all discussed. This board met 3 times. We did evaluate the proposal. It's an interesting concept, whether it fully met the vision of what we were looking to do, or whether the exact MOSI site is similar to the ones they cited throughout the country. I mean, they had some good groups. I will mention also that the larger group that presented was actually not the proposal. It was part of the team, part of the proposal. We were looking for a master developer in here for a smaller site, so nothing new.
Okay. And last question for me. What's the expected timeline to negotiate and come back? I'm not holding you to it, but are we talking 30 days? Are we talking 6 months? Somewhere in between?
I'm going to say somewhere in between.
Okay, no, that's
You've
fair.
given us your guidance, so we'll take that.
Yeah, no,
comment.
I'm just want to have an idea.
No, Commissioner, we feel strongly with what's happening now in the area. We urge ourselves to start now to plan, because these processes can take months and years to build out. And we want to be part of the drivers and again, as I mentioned before, paying attention to what else is happening there, so we're not necessarily duplicating. We want to be complementary and a leader and actually distinguish ourselves.
Okay, thank you. With that, I'll pass the gavel to the Vice Chair and make a motion to approve staff recommendations.
Second.
Second, okay. Got a second. We have a motion and a second. Commissioner Kemp?
Yes, and I'll just say that I'm pleased that this has come forward. I agree that we have an opportunity for something very special in this area. As many of the board members know, I've been very concerned about MOSI. At one time, I think it was, there were plans afoot to move it or not, it wasn't going to exist anymore. I have felt very, very strongly that, like with every great community in the country, and I looked at I looked on the Tampa Bay competitive report with the 20 communities across the country that we were most competitive with, and I looked at it one day, and every single one had a thriving, strong science center. And I think it's a really gift that we have it. I do know that it is has been designed in a very sprawling manner and has made it difficult to maintain and have the highest quality center and activities that we could. So, the East building, I think everybody's kind of in agreement, the oldest building, that is, doesn't need to any longer, doesn't serve the purposes that were originally intended when it was built, and is not a good mix for the area. I'm glad to see that we're thinking, and I think the developers that you've heard from have also been thinking about the West building and kind of readaptive, which has been talked about. I think it's really wonderful. I think we need a mixed use area there, a dynamic mixed use area. I think it would just lift the whole area. It would serve as, I think there's never been kind of the synergies between the university and the opportunities there in the area that we could make of it. So I'm very pleased to see all of that, and that's a direction that I feel comfortable and good about going in. My one regret, and this isn't part of this, but it's just overall that we don't have more resources with the transit at that area. And I think it's a real loss for us as a community that we haven't invested more in our transit system so that we can serve that area and, have the kind of transit system that we need here. As I've said before, we have the most underfunded transit system in the nation for a metro area this size, not by a little bit, but by huge amounts. And that's a real loss, because that will hurt us tremendously in our connections from the university area to downtown to the airport, some main areas we need as well as others. But I'll mention that, but I'm very supportive of this going forward, and I look forward to seeing how it is with MOSI there and intact and a stronger, better MOSI.
Okay, I see no one else in the queue. Please record your vote.
Motion carried 6-0.
Thanks, guys.
I just want to say also thank you to staff for the work on this. Thank you.
Okay, Bonnie, got a 10 a.m.
Thank you. We have one public hearing. This is item D1. This is regarding the rates for the former Windemere franchise service area. And Lisa Ray will present this public hearing.
Good morning. Thank you, Commissioners. I'm Lisa Ray, Director of Water Resources. And this is a public hearing to receive public comment on the adjustment of rates for potable water and wastewater services in the former Windemere franchise service area, and to adopt the resolution establishing the fees and charges within which the county may charge customers for potable and wastewater within this area. Over the last 6 months, we have held multiple meetings with the community, in-person meetings where we had customer service staff available as well as other staff to help them through the transition. We have registered them in our system, as well as sent multiple letters. In fact, noticing this meeting is one of them. The rate proposal for a 5-year incremental increase is consistent with the approach we have used with other franchise acquisitions and allows us to gradually bring their rates up to being in line with those of our other customers. Our bond resolution does require that we not provide a preferential rate for a customer, and so this addresses that consideration. And this is a public hearing.
All right, thank you. This public hearing, would anyone like to speak to the item? If not, can we have a motion?
Second.
Motion, Commissioner Kemp, second, Commissioner Cohen. No comments, please record your vote on D1.
Motion carried 6-0.
All right, next item.
Thank you. The next item is 10:15. If you'd like to waive your rules to hear item E1, this is an appearance by Rob Higgins.
Sure, if we have a motion to
Move for
waive the
approval.
rules. Motion, Commissioner Myers. Do I have a second? Can we have a second to waive the rules?
Second.
Okay, second, Commissioner Kemp, please record your vote.
Motion carried 6-0.
Okay, the next item is item E1. This is to receive a special appearance by Rob Higgins, who's the Executive Director of the Tampa Bay Sports Commission. He's going to present their semi-annual activity report.
Morning, Rob.
Good morning, everybody. As always, just wanted to start with a quick thank you. Thank you for your continued investment in our organization and our sports tourism community. It continues to pay big dividends. I know how precious your time is, so I'll be very quick, but certainly don't hesitate to stop me and ask any questions you may have. Kicking things off this year was Royal Rumble with our good friends at WWE. A great regional approach on this one. The Royal Rumble event itself was on Saturday night of Gasparilla weekend at Tropicana Field and set an attendance record at Tropicana Field of over 48,000 fans. 2 nights later at Amalie Arena, we had Monday Night Raw, which had close to 15,000 fans at it. So one of WWE's 4 majors. We had programming, as you can see, on both sides of the bay, and certainly a great blueprint for events with our good friends at WWE. Just a couple weeks later, we had the Savannah Bananas back in town, one of the hottest sports properties in the country. Last year we had them for 2 nights. This year we had them for 3 nights. Sold out crowd of 30,000 fans from over 40 states around the country. Actually, on the opening night of it, I talked to a guy that came in from Australia to watch the event, but continues to be a great property and one that we look to bring back to our community as much as possible. Speaking of trying to bring events back to the community, fresh off the heels of hosting Frozen 4 in 2023, as well as the NCAA Volleyball Championship later on that year, the NCAA bid cycle for 27 and 2028 is currently going. We've submitted 11 different bids to bring events back like the Frozen 4 and NCAA Volleyball Championship, as well as a handful of others, including some Division II events. We'll find out which ones that were hopefully awarded in October as a heads up in terms of timing. Other recent events and upcoming events I'll hit on quickly. We had our Tampa Bay Kids Triathlon at Adventure Island. We had a record 418 participants that helped generate a donation to Friedreich's Ataxia Research Alliance of $3,000. This coming August, we have 2 Premier Leagues teams, 2 EPL teams coming, West Ham United as well as Crystal Palace, for a soccer match that will take place at Raymond James Stadium. And then I actually sprinted here from meetings with the NCAA who have been in town all week, and I'll be sprinting back here in just a few minutes as we continue to prepare for our record 4th NCAA Women's Final Four that's coming in April. So certainly we studied everything that happened in Cleveland at this past year's event. You look at the trajectory of the Women's Final Four, it just continues to grow and become bigger and bigger every year. So what many of you witnessed in 2019 or in 2008 or 2015 is going to be even bigger come April of 2025. So those plans continue to develop. Just this past weekend, we had our volleyball combine with over 50 participants, helping showcase their skills and hopefully catching the eye of college recruiters. And then just a couple of notes related to our youth and amateur sports tourism events that we continue to host and that have become such a big boon to our local economy. Our overall room nights through quarters 1 and quarter 2 is over 153,000 room nights. That's from 35 events. Those 35 events have welcomed over 260,000 visitors. So again, it continues to be a great engine, specifically on weekends and need periods of time as well. And then the last thing I wanted to wrap up with before I open it up to any questions is we recently celebrated the 5-year anniversary of the Hillsborough County Tournament Sportsplex. And I just wanted to point out a couple different numbers. You know, when it comes to feasibility studies, pre-construction feasibility studies that help get projects approved, a lot of times communities end up shelving those reports and never look back on them to compare what the actual results are. Well, here, Hillsborough County, with our great partnership, we hold ourselves accountable to it. And so when you look at the pre-construction feasibility report that took place, they projected 150 events. We were able to actualize 161. They predicted 151,000 hotel visitor room nights. We were able to actualize 45% higher in terms of the room nights with over 218,000. So again, we appreciate your vision as well as all of your continued support and partnership when it comes to sports tourism in our community. So thank you so much. I will open it up to any questions you may have before turning it over to my tag team partner, Santiago Corrada with Visit Tampa Bay.
Well, Rob, first of all, I want to thank you for your brevity. And secondly, just congratulate you and your team. You really do an amazing job with limited staff, limited resources when you compare it to other sports commissions around the state and the country. What these guys do is simply amazing. And my hat's off. And it speaks volumes about how well you guys, the relationships that you guys have built, particularly with NCAA, whether it's the Frozen Four or the Women's Final Four, that they come back 2, 3, 4 times. I can recall with the Frozen Four, I think it was the quickest that they had ever come back to a return city. Am I correct on that?
Yeah.
I mean, that
was the quickest over the last 20 years. So we've had 3 since 2012, and before that, in the 64-year history of the event, it had never been to the southeastern part of the country. So it really is a result of this partnership.
No, it just speaks volumes to what a leader you are in the job that your team does. I can tell you about the women's Final Four. I've gone to all of them that were here. I've become a huge fan because of Caitlin Clark. I don't mind saying that. But when you attend those events, what I learned, because I met all kinds of folks, you have a lot of them are women, but a lot of them are families that they go around to every Final Four. That's their routine, and it was really pretty special to see. A couple other comments real quick. I'm glad you referenced the Sportsplex. I've said many times here on discussions of other complexes how it just killed the projections that the consultant did, and they were not conservative projections. They were very robust and absolutely have killed it. And it actually, as I've referenced from an operational standpoint, last year paid for itself. One question. I'm not going to put you on the spot, but we've discussed moving forward with either an indoor facility or baseball, softball, and I remember one time we had this conversation, and years ago when I championed the Sportsplex, you were like, that was the #1 need, without a question. When I asked you this question again, I don't know, a year or so ago, I think you said it was really 1A or 1B as far as which one we could use the most. I guess the question is there any doubt in your mind that either facility would absolutely kill it here?
Yeah, I think they would be, both would be ultra successful. I do not think that there's some sort of, like back in the day with the Sportsplex, it was clear that the Sportsplex was the overall #1 need. I think both of those certainly have a tremendous amount of need and would have a great return on investment. So I don't think you asked me that, and I'm glad you didn't ask me that, or which of my 2 favorite kids, which of my kids are my favorite, or any of those things. But those two, both certainly, I could see being very productive in either case.
Okay, great. Well, I don't see other comments or questions, so thank you very much for the presentation.
Thank you.
Bonnie?
Commissioners, would you like to waive your rules again to hear item E2, which is the Visit Tampa Bay presentation?
Sure. Motion,
Second.
Commissioner Kemp, second, Commissioner Myers, to waive our rules. Please record your vote.
Motion carried 6-0.
Okay.
Therefore, the next item will be item E2, with a special appearance by Santiago Corrada with Visit Tampa Bay.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Honorable Chairman, honorable members of the County Commission, our esteemed county staff. It's not fair to follow Rob when it comes to brevity. Everyone knows I speak way more than Rob, so he has an unfair advantage, but I also want to thank Rob and use another sports analogy. We're a great 1-2 punch, not just tag team partners. Thank you for allowing us to speak this morning. This is our 6-month report, and I'm going to fly right through it. I can tell you not to get too concerned about that dip in our numbers. That's compared to last year's record-setting year of over 30 years. I'm going to say today, I'm going to make a prediction that this is going to be a photo finish year. We've got some major groups coming to town, the Omegas, Joyce Myers Ministries, Destinations International, National Association of Counties. So I'm predicting it'll be very, very close to another record-setting year comparing us to last year, but you can see how well we are stacking up against Florida and the United States. Against our competitive set, you see the 3 Florida cities. They're very, very close together on occupancy. You see us very, very close on average daily rates and revenue per available room. We will close that gap again with these upcoming months. June and July will be record setters, so we will close that gap and we will be near the top of that list. When you look at taxable hotel revenue, again, back to my photo finish, you see how close we are 6 months into last year. When you look at that over every single month, you see that yellow line taking a short dip. you know, it's hard to beat yourself when you've had Savannah Bananas and big conventions and you're trying to match punch per punch, but you see the yellow line now starting to surpass the other two lines, and we expect that through the end of the fiscal. When you look at the bed tax collections, again, within a whisper of where we were last year at this time, and of course, you see month by month there as well. We just had our economic impact study done by a third party. This is for obviously 2023. The numbers continue to grow for us, over 27 million visitors with an $8.9 billion economic impact to our destination. And what's really critical there is that extra $535 million paid by tourists in taxes that do not include the tourism development tax. So again, just great numbers. Like Rob, over the last 6 months, we had 373 groups booked for future years, $167 million in economic impact, and we actualized over the last 6 months 374 groups with that associated economic impact. So we're seeing a lot of business. We focus on conventions, meetings, events, as well as leisure travelers. This is a short award-winning video that's gone viral about our push to bring meetings and conventions to town. And if it doesn't play, it'll be even quicker for me to go.
It's easy for us to say we have a fantastic convention center, we have a great airport, we have great hotels, great fine dining, but it's better to hear what others say about you as far as what differentiates you from other destinations. It's this constant evolution of what is next here. And when we have conventions, they're always saying, wow, this has really, really changed. We didn't have a JW Marriott 5 years ago. We didn't have Edition 5 years ago. We've added approximately 2,500 hotel rooms, which have been extremely helpful in attracting a different level of clientele, but also adding to that inventory that appeals to meetings, events, conventions. We want it to be about what an authentic, unique destination this was. Art, culture, history, the people here, the diversity, and obviously food. We had some great restaurants that people knew all about that have been here for decades, if not a century. You're starting to see this proliferation of new restaurants, new chefs, new concepts, a hub of innovation, entrepreneurship, thought leaders, disruptors.
CNAP Summit is an annual celebration of innovation all across the state of Florida, and we gather people right here in beautiful downtown Tampa Bay for this extraordinary celebration. Intensive educational sessions, lots and lots of networking. Back in 2018, we hosted the very first CNAP Summit here in Amalie Arena in downtown Tampa, and the community has grown exponentially since then. We've watched the city evolve all around us, spark and morph, to hang out on the amazing waterfront, listen to live music, walking all along the Riverwalk, all the way up to Armature Works with lots of space outside, just an amazing nightlife here. And all the incredible spaces from the art museums to the dynamic growth of Ybor City as a nonprofit organization that brings business leaders from a diverse array of backgrounds and industries together. We are excited to be a part of creating that growth and dynamic energy that we see everywhere all around Tampa.
We're a live event production company based here in Tampa, Florida. We do events of all kinds of sizes and crazy things. If you're putting together a live event, you want to work with Visit Tampa Bay. They can get you into every venue, introduce you to everybody you need to know, and really make the lift really, really light. As someone who's lived in Tampa most of my life, why would you want to be anywhere else? We have sunshine year-round, great food, great culture, wonderful venues.
Our center is situated right on the heart of our Riverwalk. Our center can host everything from citywide conventions to consumer shows, sporting events, banquets and galas, and general meetings. Our center recently completed a $44 million capital improvement campaign, which featured the addition of 18 brand new waterfront meeting rooms of flex space that can all be opened and connected to our exhibit hall.
The way this destination has grown and evolved, you know, it matches any other destination, not in size, but in quality and in offering. So we like to be that red carpet that welcomes you as a visitor, welcomes you as a meeting, an event, and we often say our visitors become our neighbors. We just sell the place by having you visit, and then you're a believer.
We've just completed our largest out-of-state campaign. Thank you to the funding received through our Tourist Development Council. Largest out-of-state marketing campaign for leisure travelers. Largest meetings campaign. That video was a part of that meetings campaign because the competition's red hot. You know, the Omegas don't have to come to Tampa. Joyce Myers doesn't have to come to Tampa. Lots of folks want that business, so we have lots of partners where we are advertising and marketing. This is a great destination for meetings, conventions, and just really, really quickly, we've had lots of wins. We launched the Monopoly Tampa edition. Not too many cities have their own edition of Monopoly, an official Monopoly game. Obviously, we've done these campaigns with folks that recognize our marketing around the country, take a selfie, take a photo, send it to us, and they get prizes. We are partnering with a Premier League soccer team in England, right outside Heathrow Airport. That was strategically done when we landed the Virgin Atlantic flight. Flies right over the stadium, and we wanted folks to see Tampa Bay at that stadium. We've done a number of arts initiatives with the Tampa Bay Arts Alliance, arts marketing. The Michelin Guide was announced right here. We added some more star restaurants. We have 30 restaurants now in the guide. Believe it or not, that's amazing. Tampa's Table Volume 2. And before I say goodbye, a couple of other things. We just had Margaritaville at Sea's inaugural sale, and we are welcoming Aeromexico to the destination July 1st for direct flights to Mexico City. It's been decades since we had daily flights to Mexico. So I'm sorry it was a little bit longer than Rob. He'll always win the sprint, but 6 months is hard to encapsulate in a short period of time.
Hey, I'm thrilled it was this short. No, great presentation, seriously. I love that video. I think it's the third or fourth time that I've seen it. It makes me proud to be a native and lifelong resident here. So you guys, again, just like Rob and his team, you guys are doing a remarkable job, and really do appreciate your leadership. I know you're leading by example, and so keep up the great work. I don't see any other questions or comments, so we'll see you in 6 months.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, Santiago. Okay, Bonnie.
Thank you. We're going to move to item B5. I'm going to bring up the dynamic trio again of Scott Stromer, John Mueller, and Greg Horwedel. This is to authorize staff to advertise an alternative proposals for the land exchange for the replacement of the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office Operations Center.
Good morning. Again, Scott Stromer, Procurement Services. Item B5, in accordance with Florida statute, we're asking the board to authorize staff to advertise and solicit alternative proposals for a period of 30 days for an exchange of land involving 5 county-owned parcels, totaling approximately 8.33 acres in Ybor, which is presently occupied as the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Operations Center. Ybor City Holdings, LLC, provided the county with a land exchange offer for replacement Sheriff's Office Operations Center, which allows for future operational growth and redevelopment of the subject Ybor parcels. If approved for advertisement, staff will evaluate any proposals received in response to the advertisement, determine if they are equal to or better than the proposal received from Ybor City Holdings, LLC, and will present to the board at a future meeting for its consideration a recommendation that staff believes is in the county's best interest overall. Procurement Services does recommend approval with proceeding with the advertisement. With that, Rob Higgins is going to come do this too. John Mueller, Greg's going to take over, I guess. Great, very good.
Thank you, Scott. For the record, Deputy County Administrator Greg Horwedel. Oftentimes, government is accused of not being terribly strategic. In this particular case, there's a convergence of events that we believe would allow us to be very strategic and save the county potentially tens of millions of dollars over the next 15 years. We think that this is something that needs to be evaluated. We're recommending that we move forward on advertising so that we can get, if there are additional proposals, do the additional financial due diligence that we need to do, and bring back to you a fully baked agreement that ultimately will outline very clearly what the responsibilities are between the two parties. As I said earlier, we have a number of reasons why we think this is a good idea at this time. John is going to go over some of those, and then we'll have the opportunity to answer any of your questions. Thank you.
Yes, just have a short slide presentation, just a few slides. Again, for the record, John Mueller, Director of Facilities Management and Real Estate Services. As Scott mentioned, I just want to emphasize that we are asking today just for the approval to notice to see if there are land exchange proposals equal or better than what we've received. Okay, thank you. Okay, so our Ybor site, it's shown here. Appraisals of value right now are actually at the highest staff has seen in 3 years. 3 years ago, I think our appraisal was around 24 million, give or take a little bit. So clearly, it's an opportune time. On the other hand, I will note here that these properties have a lot of existing conditions and challenges. So certainly, when we started to look forward at redevelopment for our own, if we were going to redevelop for HCSO, it is not highly desirable for us to do that there. Again, a lot of challenges on that. So we did receive this unsolicited proposal, and it perked our interest for a few reasons. It's a larger facility on a 25-acre campus, and that was interesting to us for a couple reasons. The location was close, but not adjacent to the existing Falkenberg jail and sheriff's operations. I won't get into the specifics for security-related reasons, but it's actually, we don't want to be contiguous to it. We want to be in close proximity. 260,000 square foot of future entitlements. For my own part, a site like this, that would last more than my lifetime for sure in terms of expansion. Moving the sheriff's office in this day of technology is not an easy lift. It's something we prefer to do and leave it at that. And then lastly, Greg mentioned favorable market conditions again. First quarter of this year, I believe office values were at I'll say a recent all-time low, maybe equivalent with the Great Recession. And particularly this corridor. So there's, as you know, this board approved a purchase of a 60,000 square foot we needed for a training facility I think a year ago. So we've been value shopping ourselves anyways, and this one speaks to it as well. So the sheriff is actually, as we look back in history, about every 13 to 15 years needed space. So they're due. Looking ahead, they really are. It was interesting as we look back. More interesting to us, this was when we did look back, the last time they moved, which was they took over the EPC building in Ybor, was the study actually described what they needed for the future. And it described a centrally located near major arteries, 120 to 150,000 square feet, a plus or minus 20-acre campus, not subject to flooding as much as the Ybor site was, and something that allowed setback for. So it was kind of a little bit surreal that that this was written 19 years ago. And then, of course, I think this board, as well as many of us, have seen the costs of constructing new. So if there's an opportunity out there for a high-quality used facility previously built where we can get maximum taxpayer value, that's of interest to us. So why a land exchange? Time. This move will take us 3 years. Could take a little more, unforeseen conditions. We need assurances that we have a site that we're going to, and we need to be operating. This is very much a, I'll say, lights on in both places, and keep them on for a week or two before you turn the lights off in the other one. So this is not a sell, rent, look, build, delay. We really, so the exchange, the land exchange proposal perked our interest again in terms of minimizing those costs. And then lastly, I would say it gives us an opportunity in the land exchange. Risk has value to it. So when we come back to you with any proposal, this one or the other one, we're going to consider several factors: moving costs, costs of risk, costs of staying, appraisal values. We'll do a total value analysis, and which emphasizes, let's go out there, let's make sure any or all proposals are sent to us so that we can do that and do our due diligence for the board. So, Commissioner Hagan, you'll love it. I'll be really brief on this. I'm not going to go through this one because it describes all the next steps. But let me just sum it up by saying this. We'll be coming back at least 2 times to this board. This will not be the one and only or even a second time. In addition to this property being in the CRA, we have notices that would be required for the land exchange statute as well. So you will have an opportunity to weigh in on this item again at least 2 times. Again, in closing, what we're asking for again here today is and I'll emphasize, I think the market conditions are there, while we're in this state, to go ahead and put a notice out to put serious consideration to this proposal. With that, we're here for any questions.
Okay, thank you. Got a number of commissioners want to make comments. Commissioner Cohen, you recognized?
Thank you very much. This is just an enormously exciting development, I think, for Hillsborough County. And the minute that this proposal came up and I was briefed about it, I arranged to go with you to go and see the building. And I have to tell you, it's as though, in my humble opinion, it's as though it was custom designed for the sheriff's office. It just couldn't be a more perfect site in so many different ways. And so, just in terms of securing our future, in terms of our investment into public safety for the next 2 generations, this is a monumental opportunity. That said, what you're asking us to do today is to make sure and do our due diligence so that we can assure the public that there's nothing better out there. And that's very, very important because there's a process that we go through to make these things happen, and satisfying the public's curiosity to make sure that we've exhausted all of the options that are out there is a very, very important part of moving forward. So I'm really glad to see that this is the first vote that you're putting in front of us because, like you said, it won't be the last, and we will have lots of opportunities once this proposal is fleshed out in more detail to really, get into the merits of it. But at least at this first stage, what we're really doing is assuring people that this is the best way to go forward and that there aren't other things out there that we haven't evaluated. And I think that's a really important point to make, just to the transparency of the process and to the idea that we're going to dot our I's and cross our T's in moving forward. But without waiting for everyone to finish, I do want to go ahead and just move the item.
Okay, we got a motion to approve. Commissioner Cohen, second Commissioner Kemp. Commissioner Myers.
Thank you. I have a couple of questions, staff. John, you said we had appraisal done about 3 years ago for this. Are we going to do an updated one for this particular project?
Yes, Commissioner, we are. We actually have completed the EBOR ones. They average 35.8, I believe, million. It's in your agenda item. And we're currently doing appraisals on this proposal. And as other proposals come in that are equal or better, we'll do appraisals on those as well.
So you're saying, in other words, the county is paying for the proposal appraisal instead of their...
Yes, when it's our appraisal, we pay.
Okay, well, I think for the future, when someone submits a proposal to us, then they should pay for the appraisal since the county did not solicit. Just going forward, something to be noted, okay?
Noted.
And then the second, this is in my district, and it also is in the city of Tampa, CRA. And as I mentioned during my briefing, one of the concerns that we did not have a grocery store. It has nothing to do with the swap of property, but I want to bring it out because I'm pretty sure some of my constituents are listening, that we do need a grocery store in that area, in this same area. And I know I had the opportunity about 2.5 years ago to visit that site with the developer who was interested at that time, but it was not a part of Grow Financial. So after we approve this motion, Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that would deal with, if I'm in order, that I want staff to look at for a grocery store in the same area.
Okay. Commissioner Wilson?
I was just going to say that I know a lot about operational security, and that's the biggest thing, is that the sheriff shouldn't be there. I mean, the guy literally arrests people and then goes on TV at 3 a.m. and dunks on the criminal that he arrested on. It shouldn't be there. And I think it makes complete sense so far. So, and it is an independent, I think I had this answered. It's an independent appraiser. It's not an inside. It's going to create transparency and blanket cover for everybody involved. Perfect. Thank you.
Commissioner Kemp.
I'm not sure about the appraiser issue, but it would seem to me too that it would we would need to make our own appraisal in this case. But that going forward, I'll just say this. This is, I think, we've done, this is the second during this meeting of just kind of really massive redevelopment opportunities that have been kind of on the county's plate for decades, I guess, both with the USF MOSI area and this. And I have to say, I've been really to watch Ybor after all these years, and to kind of just see where the Tampa Park apartments are, the development that's coming up out of the ground there, and the opportunities and change that is on the agenda for the future of Ybor. And looking today just at the picture that was put up there, the overhead, the aerial shot of the area, and to see so much of it as on the ground, blocked off grid, but also just see huge amounts of it parking. And it's just going to be a sea change and opportunity, I think, again, for what we so much need, mixed-use opportunities, walkable areas, residential. I know we're talking about grow financial, but it looks like there's more opportunity than that. As well, some years ago, it just to have the sheriff's station in Ybor didn't seem to make as much, didn't seem to make sense in the long term for decades to come. And so I think it by all accounts, looks like a great win for moving the sheriff's office, as well as for the redevelopment and opportunities that are available in Ybor. So I'm excited to see this moving forward. And I understand Commissioner Myers, that area certainly does need a grocery store. I agree with you. I'm not sure if we can move that forward here. I know that there's a lot of areas that that is significant and important too, that don't have that. But there maybe there's chances and opportunities for that in the development of the area, because I honestly think, just like other areas near Armature Works and other areas that have had that redevelopment down by the channel, in the Channel District, that we've seen the grocery store come there because the need has been pronounced. And so I think I have to believe that that will happen at any rate, but I understand your concerns. But I think this is a great opportunity. And again, I know staff has been a long time working and looking at this, some years, I guess. So I think I was the second on this. I'm happy to move this forward and see this happen and kind of see the transformation that's happening now in Ybor.
Commissioner Myers, do you want to speak to this motion or afterward?
No, to this motion.
Okay.
Just want to say I'm all in favor. Both locations are in my district. It's a win-win. I always believe in how do we continue to enhance District 3. This is another way that District 3 will be enhanced. So I'm all in support of the project. Last week I had the opportunity to visit the site, and what a site to visit, that location. I mean, Bonnie, we could bring some of the furniture. I'm just joking. Here at the county center, but it's there, and so hopefully we can include that once we have a contract to have the sheriff to keep it, and we won't have to buy any new furniture. Very plush. So thank you so much, staff.
Okay, we've got a motion by Commissioner Cohen, second Commissioner Kemp. Please record your vote.
Motion carried 6-0.
All right, Commissioner Myers, did you want to make another motion?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, board
Thank you all.
members. Appreciate
Thank
it.
Although this is not a part of the land exchange contemplated to relocate the Sheriff's Operations Center out of Ybor, I move to direct the County Economic Development staff to work with the other county staff, City of Tampa staff, the Tampa Bay Economic Development Corporation, the Ybor Chamber of Commerce to evaluate the potential for locating a neighborhood market or similar growth facility in Ybor. I recognize the growth facility often requires a specific number of rooftops or household in the service areas to provide growth services in a profitable way. However, in my opinion, the neighborhoods in and around Ybor have been underserved by growers for decades. Staff analysis should include the demographic data needed by growers to consider city neighborhoods, market, and grocery stores. This service area data for households include population and number of households, gross and disposable income, and age, occupation, and dependent characteristic. Equally important is the county, the city, EDC, and Ybor Chamber staff to identify how a neighborhood market or grocery store can help revitalize the neighborhood. This means evaluating potential incentives and conditions under which growers will consider establishing a facility in Ybor. And then I ask that the staff brings back a report in 90 days. Thank you. That's my motion.
Okay, I've got a motion, Commissioner Myers, and Commissioner Kemp. Bonnie and Greg, did you guys follow all that? Any questions or any issues? You're good? Okay. No other comments? Please record your vote.
Motion carried 6-0.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, board members.
Next item.
Thank you. And I really do want to thank Scott, John, and Greg and their teams for both of those agenda items. They were heavy lifts, and it's something we've been working on for a long time. And our partner at the Sheriff's Office, I know they've stepped out already. The next item, Commissioner Hagan, is your item F2, regarding the Live Local Act property tax exemption.
All right, thank you. And this will be quick, and then I believe Commissioner Wollstone might have another item associated with this issue. I know we've had a couple of discussions, or several, over the last several months on Live Local. I know the legislature approved Senate Bill 328 and House Bill 7073 and 24. These bills made several amendments to the enacting state statutes that control the Live Local Act's land use preemption. One such newly crafted exemption provides for different income tiers. Companies with eligible units designed for rental households between 80 to 120% area median income, or AMI, can receive a savings of 75% off their property taxes, while units earmarked for renters below 80% AMI can receive 100% preemption. The annual household income for a family of four corresponding with the 80 to 120% range is $76,600 to $114,600. Now, one of the 24 amendments allows taxing entities an opt-out of the 80 to 120% exemption. There's an array of additional factors that must be satisfied before the opt-out can be used, but in our conversations with staff, they believe Hillsborough County meets all of the stipulated criteria. As we've heard, Pasco County recently passed a resolution essentially putting developers on notice that they will not grant this highly lucrative tax break to projects designed for the higher income households. These discounts do nothing for renters who are income challenged, and I propose we do the same. Again, Pasco is estimating that exemption would cost them millions in tax revenue that could obviously be used for critical infrastructure, for fire rescue, or law enforcement, just to name a few. Can only assume the impact in Hillsborough County would be similar. So for today, I'd like to again, pass the gavel and just make a motion that we direct staff to draft a resolution declaring that Hillsborough County will be opting out of the 80 to 120% of range for AMI for the property tax subsidy as provided in the state statutes, and that staff give public notice so we're in the position to be able to vote on the resolution during the July 17th board meeting.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Commissioner Kemp?
Yes, I just want to say this is something that I've been interested in seeing happen as well. I really couldn't see why we were giving tax benefits at all to properties that were above 100%, our median average income, that we would be either making affordable housing investments available to them or encouraging that when 100% a median income and below was such a much stronger need. I instinctively believe that. And then the Schimberg report confirmed that. My only issue is the Schimberg report, unfortunately, has, and this is apparently true federally, it's just a category from 80% to 120, which makes no sense to me when I look at it. I would rather it be below 100%, but I agree totally with this because I really would want the focus to be on 80% or below, and that Schimberg report confirmed for me that that's where the need is. So I'm 100% in support of this.
Thank you. Commissioner Worcester?
I'll just wait for the vote and then mention why I added this on to this discussion of Live Local.
Okay. We have a motion by Commissioner Higgins, second by Commissioner Kemp. See no one else in the queue. Please record your vote.
Motion carried 6-0.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Wilson?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. While we're talking about Live Local, and many of us have vocalized our frustrations with it, I attached an Orange County resolution that specifically is an operating procedures for Live Local. And Commissioner Hagan and I have specifically dealt with frustrations of, while most developers are good community partners, some do find loopholes, and they find them through planned developments. And on page 1 of this specific operating procedure, they exempted planned developments, PDs, from being eligible for Live Local. And I believe that that's going to be something, as we see decades-old planned developments that are sitting around the county that we just don't know about because there's going to be so many, that this would be a way for us to prevent any unexpected or unnecessary disruptions to the characters of certain communities. So I think that it's something that should probably be handled at a land use meeting, but I wanted to get it on the record now for all of you to be able to read through so we can have some dialogue about it. Thank you.
All right, so we don't need to take any action today? Okay, yeah, I totally agree. Commissioner Cohen?
Maybe you ought to ask that they put it on our land use agenda for our discussion at the next one.
Sure, I will.
If that's all right.
I can move to direct county staff to place, I guess, consideration of review of the Orange County's Live Local Act standing operating procedures and how we might implement that in Hillsborough County.
Okay, so a motion by Commissioner Wilson, second Commissioner Cohen. Commissioner Kemp?
I just would also, I would appreciate you gave some analysis, but I'm not sure exactly of the impacts of doing this. And so I just would like from whoever appropriate staff to handle some analysis of how this might impact or what, what the impacts of this might be so that I understand it better. So I would ask for that as well.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Myers? Your microphone.
I'm sorry. To add on to what Commissioner Kemp is saying, that when that item came out on Friday, I thought the item should have gone to our county attorney's office and our county administrator, so that when we had our briefing, at least when I had my briefing, I could raise some questions, but they did not have it. And I think it's important, as we sit around the table to discuss issues, that our top two
have what we're going to talk about so that we be more mindful and informed of what's going to come before this board. Thank you.
All right, so we got a motion and a second. Please record your vote.
Motion
Mr.
carried,
Chair,
6-0.
If I may, I would just like to point out that since we had never added on something and it was a different commissioner's item, we asked multiple people in county staff of the correct procedure, and we went with the one that we were told. So it was all last minute that this was added on, so we added on to create some more dialogue for transparency, and that's why we wasn't moving forward for any action. So thank you.
And I think and that's how I knew. I got a little sticky note. I think at some point, Commissioner Wilson's aide spoke with one of my aides about should it be the same item, should he add it, and so I don't think there's a right or wrong way to handle it, so this is totally fine. Commissioner Kemp?
Can I just say for the record, I appreciate that, but I did want a little more analysis, and I think that's kind of what you were asking for, but I was also clarifying.
And it'll come back. So, all right, Bonnie, do we have anything else? Future issues?
Just future issues.
Any board member have any future issues? Commissioner Cameron Cepeda?
I'm sorry, did you vote on the last item?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Commissioner Cameron Cepeda?
All right, okay. So as we know, we have one of the largest veterans communities here, largest number of veterans that live in here in Hillsborough County. And, you know, about over a year ago, I heard about the property that was adjacent to the Veterans Park. And I was so excited, and I've been really pushing for over a year on this to make sure that we were able to get this property, and made many calls, and Mr. Mueller was very instrumental, and we were able to, you know, get this to happen. We brought it before the board. Everyone on the board voted for this unanimously, and I really would like to see that used for our veterans, and in particular, veterans, for our homeless veterans, and for affordable housing for veterans. And so, you know, they've made so many sacrifices for us, our veterans, not only for all of us here in Hillsborough County, but so many sacrifices for our nation. And this is just one way we can help them, and it's very important. You know, we have the housing situation here, so it'll help in different ways. But what I would like to do is request that the staff bring back to the BOCC an updated county master plan for the Veterans Memorial Park that includes the recently purchased adjacent 4.7-acre property to the north. The update should include a long-term program for housing for homeless veterans and affordable housing for veterans with estimated capital funding requirements for board consideration, coordination, and coordination with the park's property partner SwiftMud, and coordination with FDOT for future entry modifications. And the report should also identify partnerships that align for programming and that provide for potential funding sources.
You get all that? Okay. I don't see anyone else in the queue. Oh, Commissioner Cohen?
Yes. Commissioner Myers, I don't want to get ahead of you on this because I think it is in your district, but the Burger King issue, I was going to suggest that we have that brought up at a future meeting. I know that there was, I've been approached by them about hooking up to the sewer system. Is that something, I don't want to, I think it's in your district.
It is,
so,
and it's scheduled to come in the July 17th meeting.
Oh, okay, got it.
That's, George is working on.
Okay, very good. I can't ask you this outside the sunshine, so I appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay, so with that, we're adjourned.